On the evening of October 21, 1978, a young pilot named Frederick Valentich took off in a single-engine Cessna 182 light aircraft from Moorabbin Airport near Melbourne, Australia. He was on a routine flight across the Bass Strait, headed for King Island. What happened next has become one of the most enduring and unsettling aviation mysteries in history. The official report would simply state that the flight ended in presumed fatality, but the final, frantic transmissions from Valentich himself tell a much stranger story. Frederick Valentich was just 20 years old, but he was an experienced pilot with about 150 total hours of flying time. He had a Class 4 instrument rating, which meant he was qualified to fly at night, but only in clear visual conditions. The weather that evening was perfect: clear skies, calm winds, and excellent visibility. It was supposed to be a straightforward trip, a chance to build up more flight hours. Valentich wasn't just a pilot. He was also a firm believer in UFOs. He had a keen interest in the subject and had reportedly seen strange lights in the sky before. Some would later use this to dismiss his claims, but others believe it made him a more credible witness, someone who knew what he was looking at. About 40 minutes into his flight, as he soared over the dark waters of the Bass Strait, Valentich contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control with a strange question. He asked if there was any known air traffic near his position. The controller, Steve Roby, checked his radar screens. The answer was definitive. No, there were no other aircraft anywhere near him. Valentich responded, telling Roby that he could see what appeared to be a large aircraft below him. He described it as having 4 bright landing lights. The controller reconfirmed that there was absolutely no traffic in the area. Valentich then watched as the object flew over his plane at an incredible speed. The conversation with air traffic control grew more and more tense. Valentich described the object passing over him about 1,000 feet above. He said it was long, but he couldn't identify the type. Then, it started circling him. He told the controller, "It seems to be playing some sort of game. He's flying over me 2-3 times at a time, at speeds I can't identify." This was not a normal encounter. Military aircraft in the area were all accounted for, and no civilian planes were on the flight path. What was out there with Frederick Valentich? He tried to get a better look. He told the controller, "It's not an aircraft, it is." Before his transmission cut out for a few seconds, when he came back, he was able to describe it in more detail. He said the object had a green light and was sort of metallic and all shiny on the outside. The object then vanished from his sight, only to reappear on his left side. The situation was escalating. Valentich felt he was being pursued, toyed with by something he couldn't understand. The most chilling part of the transmission was yet to come. Valentich reported that his engine was starting to run rough, sputtering and failing. This is a terrifying scenario for any pilot, especially over a vast, cold ocean at night. He then uttered the words that would be his last coherent message to the world. He said, "My intentions are to go to King Island. That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft." Following that last haunting sentence, the microphone keyed open, and for the next 17 seconds, all the air traffic controller could hear was a series of bizarre, metallic scraping sounds. Some have described it as grinding or clicking. Then, abruptly, silence. The radio went dead. Frederick Valentich and his Cessna 182 had vanished. Immediately, a massive air and sea search was launched. The Royal Australian Air Force, along with civilian boats and aircraft, scoured the Bass Strait for 4 days. They covered over 1,000 square miles of ocean. The weather was clear, which should have made finding any wreckage, an oil slick, or the pilot himself relatively easy. But they found nothing, not a single piece of the plane, not a trace of Frederick Valentich. It was as if he and his aircraft had been plucked from the sky, erased from existence. In the aftermath, theories exploded. The Department of Transport conducted an official investigation. Their final report was inconclusive. They suggested several possibilities. One was that Valentich had become disoriented. The theory goes that he might have been flying upside down, seeing his own lights reflected in the water, and mistakenly believing it was another aircraft. Proponents of this theory point to his relatively low experience with night flying. However, Many pilots have dismissed this. They argue that even an inexperienced pilot would know if they were inverted. The instruments, the GI forces, and the basic feeling of being upside down would be unmistakable. Plus, it doesn't explain the 17 seconds of metallic scraping noises heard by the controller. Another theory was that he staged his own disappearance. Some suggested he had reasons to want to start a new life, but his family and friends vehemently denied this. They described him as a happy, well-adjusted young man who was passionate about flying. There was no evidence to suggest he was in any kind of trouble or had any motive to abandon his life so dramatically. And again, how would he have faked the final transmission and the bizarre sounds? Of course, the most sensational theory, and the one that aligns with Valentich's own final words, is that he had a genuine encounter with an unidentified flying object. His description of the craft, its incredible speed, its metallic appearance, its ability to hover, and its green light matches countless other UFO reports from around the world. The strange scraping noises could be interpreted as the sound of his aircraft being interfered with or even captured. Adding fuel to this theory were several witness accounts from the ground. People along the coast of the Bay Strait reported seeing a strange green light in the sky on the same night Valentich disappeared, some around the exact time of his final transmission. One particularly compelling account came from a plumber named Roy Manifold, who was taking pictures of the sunset over the Bay Strait that evening. He didn't see anything unusual at the time, but when he had his film developed, one of the photos showed something strange. In the sky, above the water, there was a dark, unidentifiable shape that appeared to have a cloud of exhaust or vapor coming from it. Analysis of the photo suggested a fast-moving, solid object. Was this the craft that Valentich encountered? The Valentich case remains a what-if. What if he wasn't disoriented? What if he wasn't staging a hoax? What if he was telling the literal truth? That he was being hovered over by something that was not an aircraft? The final 17 seconds of sound recorded from his cockpit microphone have been analyzed by experts for decades. Dr. Richard N.P.A., former NASA scientist, studied the audio and identified more than 30 distinct clicks and metal sounds. He concluded they were not sounds that could have been made by a human voice or a malfunctioning engine. Their origin is a complete mystery. Today, the story of Frederick Valentich is a ghost story told by pilots, a chilling reminder of the vast, unknown emptiness of the sky. His father, Guido Valentich, never gave up hope of finding an answer, searching for his son until his own passing. He believed that Frederick had been taken by extraterrestrials and was still alive somewhere. We may never know for sure what happened in those final moments over the Bay Strait. Was it pilot error and a tragic accident? A desperate hoax? Or was it something else entirely? An encounter with a technology so advanced it defies our understanding. The only thing we know for certain is that on a clear October night, a young pilot flew into a mystery, and his final, terrified words continue to echo through the decades, leaving us with more questions than answers. The truth, like Frederick Valentich and his Cessna, is still out there, somewhere. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. We'll see you in the next video.